Hi, I'm LouAnn. Welcome to the Woman to Woman Show. You know, we are called the Woman to Woman Show, but occasionally we kind of like the men to come and help us out. And we've got Graham with us today. Graham, I'm going to ask you how to say your last name.
Last name is Rintoul.
Rintoul. All right. I really enjoyed talking to you. You're here to talk about that subject that's hushed up in our society, and that is men and abortion. Yep. And men aren't supposed to talk about this, are they? But you have a story.
I do. And
you have a reason for caring very much about this issue. And you have a reason for saying it's not just a woman's issue. I want to hear what it is, and I want our viewers to hear your story because I think it's representative of a lot of men out there. And I really thank you for being willing to come on and share it with us. And so I want you to just kind of start off by how did you begin to fit into the category of a man suffering from an abortion?
Well, I learned that I was suffering through a few things that happened at our church over several months. And the final one was a video from the Portland Pregnancy Resource Center about their fundraising walk. And it was the final little push that said, you know what, you need to step up and you need to admit to having been part of an abortion, because every abortion that takes place has a man and a woman involved. But the men don't speak about it. We never speak about it.
And how many years had passed since your abortion?
30 plus.
30 plus years. And you see this presentation from Pregnancy Resource Centers at your church.
Yep.
And it just hits.
That was the final thing.
Wow.
There was a couple of others, one of which was one of our worship leaders wrote a song about the first time he saw his newly born daughter.
Ooh.
And
Trigger.
That was all tears.
Yeah.
Beginning for me. And I rarely share things of that level of an emotion.
That's so unlike you guys.
Yeah. It's like, let's go do something else, but heaven forbid we should
talk about
share.
Your feelings every day, you mean?
Yeah.
That's such a shock, Graham.
So between that song and then within just a couple of weeks seeing this video, and the tagline was, "We're helping save babies."
Ooh. That wasn't supposed to be talked about.
That was the end issue for me. It's like, you need to stand up and say, I did this. I took part in an abortion, and it was not smart. It's been painful now that I understand it, but it was many, many years before you get to the point where you say, you know what, I have to admit that I had this.
So that was the first step.
Yeah, that was step one.
Now at that point, had you told anyone about the abortion?
Zero. Not
and you were married at the time?
I was married to my current wife.
And she
we've
didn't
been
know.
married just past 19 years, a month ago.
Congratulations.
And in that entire time, plus the several years prior that we worked at the same company, we began to date, and we finally married in '89. And she had no clue.
She had no clue.
Had no clue.
So you had told no one, and you shared with me, I think, before that your parents didn't know.
Right. And I don't know that my partner's parents knew.
You just held this inside, kind of buried it all those years. So what happened after you heard this speaker? And you had said, uh-oh.
Once I saw the video, I went to their website, because I knew there was something going on that I have to go start poking around, doing a little more research and understanding things.
Okay.
And there was a fairly good list of resources, one of which took me to a site that was compiling answers to a questionnaire. About
I've seen that
the abortion experience, as they call it. So I went down the list, responded to the questions, and the final one, I forget exactly how they phrased it, but it was, describe your abortion experience. Well, I thought about it. I didn't have one. I wasn't allowed in. I didn't get through the front door of the abortion site.
Oh, is that right?
And this is back in '75-ish.
So you weren't in the waiting room?
No. Nowhere near. I had to come back later. So I really had no idea what procedure was used.
Yeah.
The visual cues, the smells, whatever that you go into even a dentist's office, you just walked into one.
You do.
So I had nothing to touch back to after all this time, but I sure remembered making the drive to go there.
And how about going home?
It was very quiet drive, and it was probably 50 or 60 miles from the New Jersey coast to where I lived on the west side of New Jersey.
Right.
And
you don't forget something like that.
No, absolutely not.
So when on this website, you found out there was help.
Yep.
And
there was help, and the fact that, gee, as I mentioned, I didn't feel an experience. But my brain says, well, there has to be one.
And this was so new,
right.
Because now on the website you were looking at, did they talk about men and abortion?
They did. They had a separate questionnaire list for men and women.
Oh,
good. Which was good.
So it was already happening.
So that's kind of started that ball rolling. And then I also on the Pregnancy Resource Center, there was a link for Rachel's Vineyard.
Rachel's Vineyard's our favorite.
So there it is.
One of our favorite places.
Yeah. So I made actually an email after checking their site to the local coordinator, who was Lori.
Lori, who we've had on the show.
So I met Lori via email a couple of times back and forth, and she said, if you're ready to sign up for a retreat, let's have a phone call. So okay, this sounds like going to the principal's office.
Are they going to yell at me or what?
And sure enough, so we arranged time when we could do that. And it was very much like their principal's office. There was an intake interview that walked me through some very difficult questions that I had never spoken about.
And you had to kind of answer them to
to
yourself
her,
and your
to
own
me,
heart.
and to her satisfaction that I was in a state of mind conducive to going to the retreat.
Because some people aren't ready.
Right.
Is that how it is?
In fact, even at ours, we had, I want to say about a dozen attendees Friday night when we started.
Yeah.
By Saturday morning breakfast, 2 had already left.
Ooh, just wasn't the right timing.
They just simply weren't there.
Okay.
And of our group of 12, I want to say there were 3 men, 9 women.
Yeah. Oh, 3 men. Okay.
Yeah. One was like me. There was a single. The other man was part of a couple who were there together.
Wow.
And the only other men present were 2 priests. One staff and one training to become staff.
Right.
So
by this time, you had to have told your wife.
Right. She did find out, shocked and amazed.
Shock.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Were you already beginning to feel some relief over this issue? That you were on a path that was going to bring...
was on a way forward to deal and to even admit there was grief involved.
That was a big step.
A big step.
Because guys aren't supposed to think that.
No, we don't do the grief thing.
We don't do the grief thing.
We don't do the grief thing.
It's so true. It's so true. Men grieve so differently in our society, and then especially this issue. A lot of the women's livers or whatever's claimed it as a women's issue and said it's ours. You know. But every one of those babies had a dad.
Exactly.
And so you're absolutely right.
Certainly, I'm going to say in my day, I suspect the abortion clinics didn't have the men involved at all. There was no counseling that I'm aware of.
Right.
Or, do you understand you're about to terminate a life?
Oh, I hate to tell you, there still isn't.
And certainly in my case, there was none from anybody. So that alone leaves the guy out there somewhere.
So what happened to your relationship with the girl you had the abortion?
We stayed together probably another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and then it dissolved. Statistically, it's about like 99% breakup after an abortion together, and it's certainly very common. Yeah. I want you to talk about, after you went through this retreat, you said that you were asked to give your testimony at different times, and you would do so, which wasn't something you normally would have done. Were you like a professional speaker?
No,
were you in the speaking industry?
I've been in the computer business for many years. So I've taught classes.
Yeah.
I also taught some motorcycle safety classes over a 10-year period.
Motorcycle safety doesn't quite kind of do the training for
doesn't give you the training for letting your most
abortion recovery, not in the textbook for that. Okay. So you got up and did this.
One Sunday, which was something we do every basically New Year period, I was asked to share with the congregation.
At church,
probably 300.
300.
My normal class in the good old days was anywhere between 12 and 22.
Yeah,
so this
kind
is
of
like,
a little different.
Wow,
Yeah.
And to get up and share my most closely held secret of all time.
Wow.
So I said, I need to do this, and did about a 20-minute discussion not just of the abortion issue, but that was a primary component, but of what brought me back to church and various other things that led to admitting that, yes, I've been party to an abortion, and yes, that there was a lot involved that people don't think about.
Right. And this is just something guys
the
aren't
struggle
talking.
that one has just trying to keep a lid on this, and the energy that one uses for that.
You know, that's a really good point, because we have learned from a counselor we had on that men, as you say, put a lid on it, and very often they turn to destructive behaviors, be it online porn, drugs, alcohol, numbing, anything to numb. And I know that that's men's coping, well, it's women's too, but in many times women yak, yak, yak. They can talk it out. They can cry it out, and guys don't grieve that way.
Yeah, we don't do the cry thing.
You don't do the cry.
We don't do the talking thing. We don't do the crying
I
thing.
know you don't do the talking thing. We've got like 30,000 words to your 20 or something like that. So, but it's true. So you gave this talk.
Yep.
What did that feel like?
It was such a relief. It was like a 1,000-pound weight taken off.
Wow.
And when that service was over, several people in that day and in the weeks following came by and said, "Wow, man, thanks. You know, I was in that same boat, and I've been in the same shape. I've been holding on to this grief and this just not knowing how to release this and how to express it."
Yeah.
And
you know, it's the relief that they sell the kids the line of, you need to get an abortion because then you'll feel relief.
Right.
That's what they're selling.
The problem will be
the
over.
abortion. The problem will be
the problem
over, and
just
you'll feel.
begins at that point.
What do you want to say to someone that's watching right now, that may a guy who may be in that situation and hasn't yet had it happen, but they're advising their girlfriend or pushing their girlfriend or allowing the girlfriend without a fight to have an appointment this week for an abortion? What do you want to say to that person?
Well, to really think through what is it you're going to do, because you can't back this one up. This is not something that's going to get a do-over. An abortion is a final event for at least one person, if not more. And unless you're absolutely serious and understanding what's going to happen, you have no business going there. You really don't.
I think that's pretty clear, and it's pretty obvious that it's not the quick fix it's sold to be,
right.
And it's not going to give you peace in your life. And I think I love Father Frank Pavone, who says, you know, you can always get more help. You can always get more money. You can always get a different job or a better job or education, but you can never get that child back.
Right.
And I think, you know, the 18-year-old watching, or the 22-year-old that, you know, thinks that this is the only way, needs to think about the big picture, right? We're both old enough to know those days do go by, and you do have regrets. And
the other thing I'd add for those like myself who had an abortion is to own up to it, at least to yourself. And there are agencies like the Rachel's Vineyard Retreats and others, even here in town, that can offer help.
Well, you're absolutely right, and we try to plug Rachel's Vineyard and the Heart Program as much as possible. We're going to run their information on the bottom of the screen, because people do need a place to go. rachelsvineyard.org. If you have a website, and you know, they have 1-800 numbers. You can go. Pregnancy Resource Center. Just Google Pregnancy Resource Center. They have the Heart Program. They will help you just walk in the door. They have, you know, it's wonderful, for free. And they don't make any money. And I wish we had so much more time to talk. Graham, will you come back?
Sure.
We're getting kicked out of the studio. We're closing.